All right.
Good. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining us. I'll call the meeting to order. It is now 12:17 p.m. on June 30th, 2026. This is a special meeting of the Houston Land Bank. We will start with roll call. Start with Ricky and work our way down.
Ricky Bradshaw, board member. Warren Cole, board member.
Matt Zeiss, board member.
Mark Winston.
Tracy Signs, I'll take it. Ricky Ross, Houston Land Bank contractor.
Melanie Young, Houston Land Bank.
McKenna Drake, Houston Land Bank. Anisha Arrow, Houston Land Bank.
Lindsay Williams, Houston Land Bank.
East Fernandez, Houston
Anthony Morales, board member.
Francisco Castillo, board member. Christian Play, board member.
Christy Stone, Houston Land Bank.
Let's do it, guess.
Jameson Williams.
Now we have a quorum. We'll continue the meeting. Any item number 2, any public speakers or registered attendees?
Oh, Bridget's hired. Bridget.
Hearing none, move on. Thank you. Welcome, Bridget. Move on to item 3, consideration and adoption of meeting minutes from April 20th, 2026. Is there a motion or questions on the minutes? Thank you, Director Morales. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Castillo. Comments or questions or changes to the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Item 4 is the chairman's greeting. We'll skip that and just move on with the meeting. Item 5 is the executive committee reports. The executive committee did meet on June 1st, I believe. We spent most of our time on the items of this agenda and the budget that will the budget is on this agenda as well to be approved. We also talked about the lot sales that will be considered by the board at a later time. One update I did have on the agenda is item I think we need to pull from the agenda. Is that correct? That's the memorandum of understanding between but in my conversation recently with Director Nichols, he thought we did not need an MOU between the housing department and the land bank to pay the fair market value as per our existing contract for the lots that they have developed and transfer the land back from an HLB back to the Houston Land Bank. So we proceeded with that with these type of invoices, recategorizing the HLB reserve land back to HLB. At some point in the future, it is HCD's intent to terminate the agreement with the land bank after those invoices are paid out. So we'll restart that process once this contract is over.
So these invoices are for services provided to date?
They're for the lots that the NHGB has built on the 17 lots that
Okay, so
NHGB has built or is building.
So they're already used, so it's kind of like back payment?
Well, invoices have been holding back for this agreement to be in place, so it's the acknowledgement of the contract to be in place. So that is good for the land bank in general. It gives us a much longer runway financially than we've had in the past. Then it will give us time to set up additional funding, either with the city or with some other government partners or nonprofit partners in the next few years.
There's some discussion on that.
Sure.
So they're paying back, then they're terminating the current agreement. Does that mean that without an MOU, they say that if they need to pay market rate, they'll do so?
So the current contract we have in place says that they should be paying market rate. We had deviated from that contract in years past, and we're now coming back to the letter of the contract.
Okay.
So there's really no reason for an MOU.
Okay, and so they are going to pay based on market rate,
Right.
but when the agreement terminates, does that mean that the city won't buy any more?
Land bank money
I see.
under this contract. And the director and I have had conversations about what the relationship between the land bank and the city looks like going forward after this contract is over. So there's still a little discussion around that, and it gives us some time to figure that out. Okay, so that, I'm going to pull agenda, item I from the agenda, and that includes my executive committee report. Item B is the finance committee. Director Bradshaw.
So we met last week on June 23rd. And really just had general discussions of the budget, the financial report. And then we spent a little bit of time kind of just reviewing the budget that we'll be presenting today, going over Esau's additional comments that we will probably talk about, especially as it relates to the bonding home and such. But it was very helpful, very beneficial to really see what's the historical, I would say, profitability of the bonding home program versus what we see in the budget. We also reviewed a few of the RFP responses for the, what site is that again?
7811 Harrisburg.
Yeah, the Harrisburg property. I guess, I don't have, and we weren't moving forward, as a finance committee, we weren't recommending moving forward with either of the proposals there. And I know it'll make its way around to everybody else for review. Trying to think of anything else that was monumental in our conversation. Oh, we did finalize the agreement with the auditor, and so that's currently underway. Is it underway now? Correct. Currently underway, and then we have some additional financial things that we'll be working on, bringing on some additional support, just to bolster our financial reporting procedures, things of that nature, and some additional strategy and strategizing. So that will be going out hopefully in the next, for RFP services in the next.
Hopefully today,
Okay.
no later than tomorrow.
Okay. So this week.
Mr. Chair, I can't hear if they could just speak up, especially from that side of the table too. If they can move forward and just speak this way. Thank you, Dr.
But that's really it.
Okay, thank you, Director Bradshaw. Item C, partnership and program development committee, Director Blake.
Good afternoon. Am I loud enough? How about you like this? Is this
Okay,
better?
great.
Okay, wonderful. So we met in, I guess, mid-May, I think it was like May 14th. We've not yet met for the, this is June 30th, so we haven't met this month. But when we did meet, we discussed the implementation of the $1 billion rights management group, community benefits allocation, and how the Houston Land Bank will retain 15% of funds for administration and program management. We also heard from our new program manager, Kadiatu, where she discussed more about the early capacity building grants fund, the design and the timeline for that, and confirmed that there will be a two-tier grant structure, where it's going to be one tier with organizations with at least 2 years of operation, and another tier for organizations with at least 5 years of operation and larger funding. We discussed the anticipated award size, looking at the tier 1, approximately 15,000 for awards, and up to 50,000 for certain health and food access projects. Let's see. And Lindsay, feel free to jump in if there's some things that you think are more pertinent that I need to uplift. We discussed cash flow strategies to make sure that there's sufficient funds for January award disbursement. We also discussed the scoring rubric and really trying to underscore community impact and accountability moving forward. Also talked about the need for conflict of interest procedures when it comes to reviewers. Discuss the outreach for marketing plans, including informational sessions, and all this is targeted towards engagement in the third ward area, and the discussion of using Submittal as the application platform that we'll be using. So a lot was more so about the process moving forward when it comes to the entire program. And that's, in a nutshell, I guess, what was discussed. There was a lot of focus just specifically on that particular program.
Thank you. Any questions for Director Blake? Hearing none. Item D, real estate acquisition and disposition committee.
Yes, hello everyone. Since our last meeting, the REIT committee focused on moving several property, land banking, and infrastructure items forward. First, we supported executing contracts for 3 market lot offers: 7709 Avenue E, 8000 Beckley, and 0 Sealy. With closings held until board approval today. Pending offers are finalized, which they have been. That would bring us 7 lots under contract. We also reaffirmed our position on the Mayberry reverter lots. HLB is willing to buy them back for $1 and cover closing costs, but not back taxes or holding costs. On land banking, we reviewed a revised New Pleasant Grove agreement. After removing one lot for environmental review, the fee is now $30,000, $520, with projected client savings of 32%. We also discussed 3910 loading and agreed no improvement should move forward until the encroachment issue is resolved. More broadly, we emphasized the need for earlier surveys to avoid these issues before lots are conveyed to developers. And finally, we reviewed infrastructure challenges for land bank parcels, including a prior phase 1 estimate of about $4.3 million for paving, water, and sewer. Staff will continue evaluating funding options, including the possibility of using a land developer for horizontal infrastructure. Overall, REIT is focused on advancing lot sales, reducing holding costs, strengthening due diligence, and keeping the pipeline. That is my report.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Director Castillo? None. Item E is procurement and oversight committee.
Hi everyone, we met on June 1st. The first thing we discussed was some one closed and evaluated procurement for the RFP for general brownfields and environmental legal services. The staff received 2 submissions for which both were successful. One, so they're recommending we approve both. For the first one is Brian K. Basner, which had a 94.3 score. And then BS Fire and Fire Consulting LLC, which had a 93.3%, so also passed. So again, recommendation from the staff to move forward with those 2 submissions. And then we have an open procurement that closed tomorrow, the 30th, for title company services. That was all.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Hearing none. Moving on to item 6, board action items. Item A is, we just heard from the procurement oversight committee, consideration of possible action to approve the successful bidders, Brian K. Paisner, BCLP, and BS Fire and Fire Consulting LLC, BEC, under the request for qualifications for general brownfield and environmental legal services, as issued on February 27, 2026.
16.
Thank you. 16. Are there any questions on the motion? Do we need a briefing? Any motions? Or sorry, any questions on the item? Do we need a briefing? Are there any motions?
Can we just get a refresher?
Sure.
Yeah, this is basically providing more additional legal capacity, in particular for brownfields, especially as we look into more either banking sites or even Velasco. The next item for, item B, for example, is a site that we may potentially bank. So it just brings on more expertise for that particular lens of, as we're looking at potentially or contaminated sites, that we are well versed and be able to brief the board, and also the contracts when it comes to the vendors who are actually doing the cleanup or the disposition process. So it would be on an as-needed basis, but it's basically setting up the procurements now, so we're able to call people if we have questions about all of the special things that are in some of the sites that we own or will own in the future.
There's no commitment to spend here from the land bank's perspective, but they're just procuring expertise for future projects.
So for example, the contract for the vendors who are cleaning up Velasco, we needed additional legal expertise to make sure we were protected and some of the risks and liabilities in that site.
Okay. Thank you.
Did they provide pricing, like what it would look like?
I believe that's in their actual proposals. We just don't put proposals in the packet, but yeah, I believe that was part of the criteria.
It was reasonable. I'm assuming it was reasonable.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions, motions? Motion to approve. Thank you. Director Holt? A second.
Second.
Thank you, Director Bradshaw. Any other comments or questions on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving item A, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing opposition, motion carries. Item B, consideration of possible action to approve execution of professional services agreement with the city of Houston for phase 1 due diligence and reuse planning services for the Sunnyside Lane.
So this is a conversation that we've been having with representatives for the city for at least 6 months now in terms of us helping them to determine what is the highest and best use of the former Sunnyside landfill, which is in the Sunnyside community off of Holmes Road. At one point, there was a vision and an idea of turning this into a solar farm. That was probably at least maybe 4 or 5 years ago. That project did not come into fruition for several reasons. In conversations of our expertise of becoming the brownfield guru in Houston, basically with funding from the TERS, they would pay us to execute the tasks that are listed in your packet. So one is doing a phase 1 on the site, using our current EPA grant fund, which has already been approved by the EPA. Task 2, 3, 4, and 5 would all be funded by the task 2 is funded through KSU TAB, which is a technical assistance provider that is paid by the EPA to give technical assistance if you're in the service area. So they would be doing a highest and best use analysis in order to just determine what are the possibilities on the site. Items 3, 4, and 5 would be funded by the TERS, which includes basically a liability and risk assessment. So after we determine that there may be potentially 3 different options, what's the risk and liability of that? There would be legal review in that process as well, going back to item A. There would be a reuse plan of what does that look like in terms of potential cleanup methods, in addition to other resources that could be explored on whatever that ultimate determined use is, and then an evaluation on if we wanted to bank the site. So that's more legal review, that's more conversations, of course, with you as board members of just what are the pros and cons, and what would those next steps be. And there would be also some operational support as an alignment of each task. So this is not us taking on the site, this is us being a professional service provider in order to determine what should happen on the site and engaging our partners and our expertise of how we've accelerated our work in brownfield remediation and redevelopment purposes.
That's the question.
Yes, sir.
Are we assuming that it's going to be approved for housing?
I don't suspect that housing would be one of the intended uses. One of the preliminary recommendations is something with economic development, hence why the TERS is in support of funding this, because it can potentially be replenished back into the TERS after we put it on the tax roll.
So what do we got?
Right now, we get paid for doing research, in addition to the potential of taking on this site. If that was the board determination, that could be another possibility of how we're able to activate, of course, our mission of vacant, abandoned, dilapidated properties, but also we wouldn't give it away for free. So that's an income generating opportunity for 250 acres that we didn't have to pay for to acquire.
What department are we working with?
Economic development.
Has the TERS committed funding to this, or just like support, like an idea?
Yes, they've committed,
Okay.
at least verbally. I know they're going through their CIP plan right now, but this is being included as a part of those conversations.
TERS setting aside. Okay.
Isn't Windward on the board?
Advisory board.
Yeah, this board.
She's on the board. Non-voting.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions, motions?
Motion.
Thank you. Director Ledegro. Is there a second?
Second.
Director Sue. Any other comments or questions on the motions? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving item B, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Item C, consideration of possible action to authorize the use of land bank to approve HLB builder SXG Capital Group, a new floor plan design for 0 Glen Rose, which is proposals on HLB number 0511-560-520-016.
38.
38, thank you. And this is different from the SSG law we discussed earlier with the encroachment and committee. Separate. So reduce the square footage and reduce the, by half that, add a car parking garage, or, sorry, no garage, carport. Reduce total square footage by 100 square feet, and reduce the total sale price by $50,000.
Basically, the lot configuration, they realized it didn't fit the plan that they submitted during the submission period of when they bid on it, so they're asking for a plan change so they can fit the lot and the building line and interior lot restrictions for it.
Thank you, Ross. Is there a second? Director Flynn. Any comments on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Director Flynn, go ahead. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
I think it, for the next time, I think it would be good to see
The
our
plan?
master plans.
Okay.
Yeah. They still look good.
Yeah, that's good feedback. We do it at the committee level, but you're
Oh.
able to put it in the packet. We all want that.
Thank you. Item D, consideration of possible action to approve execution of land bank agreement with the New Pleasant Grove Missionary Baptist Church.
Yes, I'm excited about this one.
Yes.
So my tongue is changed. This is our first land banking agreement outside of the city's land banking agreement for Velasca. So this is our first like private property owner. That way. New Pleasant Grove is in Cashmere Gardens. They own several scattered sites that are in the community, and they're in discussions about purchasing another one on Brewster Street. So we've been working with them under our EPA assessment grant to help do some environmental testing, but also some of the visioning of what is possible on the site. Actually, on August 13th, we'll be having that visioning session for this property owner, in addition to the next church that I think is the following item, in order to partner with National Organization of Minority Architects to just come up with what's possible in the visioning process, and we're doing a market study and feasibility assessment using our EPA grant. They basically want to bank their property with us as we're determining what could be possible on their properties, but they do have aspirations of affordable housing in addition to other community beneficial services. Currently, they have a food pantry, for example. They have a lot of aspirations of what they like to do with maybe that serving as a resilience center for the community. So basically, this is banking their property up to a period of 5 years. In the packet on page 43, you will see the estimated annual banking fee, which is a little over $6,000 per year. So total agreement fee is a little over $30,000. But that is basically the culmination of this. This may come back to the board in the future if they do end up purchasing that additional site they're talking about. And there's also one additional site that we're doing a phase 2 on that we didn't want to bank until we get more clarity on what are the results of that. So just wanted to give you a heads up about that in advance. But that is the conclusion of my report. Yes, sir.
I don't know if it's 100% necessary, but I think it would be good for everybody. I think we see it in the finance committee. But to do like a comparison chart and something like this, so we can.
Oh, the tax savings?
Yeah, so we understand, so we get a better understanding of what are we offering.
Yeah.
And how is it, because again, we're hopefully going to see this, just put it down.
That's good feedback. And yeah, we talked about it at the committee level, but you're right, we could put that for you, just more background for y'all moving forward.
And do we have like a one-pager for?
For land banking?
Because I think we do, because I asked you, when you said you like a bunch of stuff, like,
I had some on this.
Yeah, okay, maybe we take the stuff that we do have, throw it in AI and have it compiled.
Yeah, me and Clark can talk about it.
Have program descriptions, but not just.
We don't have a one page.
Yeah, not a one.
So, yeah, we can work on that.
Details.
Yeah, very detailed.
Yeah.
Because as I'm coming across people
I'm
that have
happy.
that need, I don't want to overwhelm them with
The actual
contracts and all that kind of stuff.
Happy to do it.
Krista, which is the grant that we are leveraging, is scheduled for land banking, but for the redevelopment services,
That's our EPA assessment
Okay.
grant. Because this is in the target area for that grant as well.
And what, oh,
Good.
what type of, I don't say underwriting per se, but that we know that people can actually pay whatever it is we're charging? Or we just, is it mostly like, well, y'all agreed to it, so you pay it? Or is there any type of, hey, can y'all actually pay this?
So we look at,
Oh,
He's asking about the underwriting of the partnership between us and the church and making sure that the fees that are outlined in our agreement are being paid by the church.
And then what's the repercussion if they don't pay it?
yeah, so we looked, kind of when we get these applications at like financials.
So they provide
I mean,
that?
yeah, they
Okay.
provide that. That's kind of the conversation that we had last time, that there was a conversation is we shouldn't be holding them to this, but we feel like we should. To those, so we can see that we don't get in an administrative nightmare trying to collect on something we should have known we're not gonna collect on.
Especially
if it was.
with churches, that's a
Yes,
reputational
yeah.
risk for us.
Yeah.
If we don't do something, it's 5 minutes later, well, you didn't pay, so then something happened. I mean, I deal with that here.
yeah.
Yeah.
For any of y'all that
So-
have churches that you're, I'm not going to ever take that building.
And so we wouldn't get in a position where they owe a large sum of money, we just terminate the agreement. We do have a
And
termination.
it rolls back to them, for
Yeah.
them to be responsible for anything.
Exactly.
And we ask for the payment.
No, there's questions. We need a motion second to continue.
We need that in the discussion.
All right.
Okay.
So we'll pause the discussion. Is there a motion, one way or the other on item D? The motion, either to approve or not approve. Okay.
Well, I thought we were doing the discussion.
You have to.
Technically, we need to have a motion.
A motion to
A
discuss.
motion and a second, a motion and a second to discuss the motion
Yeah.
before we have questions.
Okay.
So you can motion
So
to
you
approve
motion
and then we
to
can
extend the
discuss.
discussion?
No, I need a motion to approve or
You have to-
not approve item D, and then we can discuss the motion up there. Right now, we have nothing on the table. Right now, we're just, there's this
Yeah,
item
so-
for consideration, until there's a motion, we actually can't start discussion. Technically.
Okay.
We're
All
ready.
that didn't happen.
We're gonna correct it.
So has it been moved and seconded?
It is not.
It has not.
It is not. I need a motion to approve or not approve item D.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Director Bradshaw. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Paul. Discussion.
Okay, discussion.
I have another question.
Okay.
Like, I really understand Ricky's concern that it's so valid, but on my side, I was more thinking, are these costs covering our land banking needs? Just thinking about our financial sustainability. Because if we always adjust to the client, I want to make sure that we, at our place, at cost covering. So I don't know.
Yes, I'll defer to Eastside for more details, but basically we looked at the cost for the insurance, we looked at staff time, and even our contractor who goes and does some of the site visits. But they are responsible for the maintenance of the site, we do not pay the grass or anything like that. And
So
also.
this doesn't include that?
No.
Okay.
Also wanted to share in the agreement, they're required to give the annual fee up front 30 days after execution of the contract. So that would cover at least 1 year in advance. And like Latasha said, if they're unable to fulfill moving forward, then we would just terminate the agreement and they go back to paying their taxes they each got.
So if we were to maintain the lot, it would get another line item here.
Oh, for sure.
Great.
So that would be a big one.
Questions, discussion?
Maybe it's worth though exploring the idea of actually including it, because what happens then if they don't take care of it, we holding it,
Is it
then they send it to us. But like just to ensure that it's getting taken care of, like, hey, especially if we have the capacity from a staffing piece versus them trying to figure it out. I don't know, maybe that's something, I mean, is it gonna be available to them to include that in the
So
budget, or
we
is all
did-
gonna be separate?
We included in the agreement, if there are any Don violations, they would be required to address those situations. In terms of us doing the lot maintenance, we did initially review that, but because I think that we need to explore some additional routes when it comes to lot maintenance, I don't think it would make it feasible for them to do that moving forward. So we didn't recommend adding that as a fee, at least at this time, but I think as we further evaluate how to make that more operationally feasible for us and potential partners like them, then we can add that as another service.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve item D in a second. I will call vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Okay. Item E, consideration of possible action to approve the final fiscal year 2027 budget. We need a presentation on the budget before we move to a motion, or is everybody seen the budget multiple times and knows every single number in there?
I read that presentation, can you just do it for reminder or review?
You said you want to take that, or?
No, I prefer to use that this.
And it starts on page 47. So it's a little bit different than the budgets you've seen in years past. Besides, we've been breaking out all of our expenditures and revenue by program. So it's you can see kind of all of you start talking about.
Sure. If we could just jump to page 49, that's where the majority of the functions are being reflected. And that's a good summary of the major activities that we're anticipating for this coming year. But there's a lot of assumption on but I do want to focus on the first three, A, B, and C. Because that is caused the majority of the impact. But before I touch on that, we are showing here a balanced budget. We are in $3,373,157 in revenues for the upcoming fiscal year, and same amount in our direct and indirect costs. To meet a balanced budget, there's major assumptions, starting with item A. Within the new home development, we are projecting 5 homes to be sold within the year. That includes 2 currently in our inventory and 3 homes to be completed and put into our possession. That's a significant decrease from last year. This current year, that's about to be completed, where we anticipate about 15 homes to be sold. Item B, that's the largest assumption of we are reflecting the additional home buyer program to bring in $1.4 million in HLB program revenue, and that is composed of 2 different items. It's composed of $200,000 from round 11 traditional home sales, which is very consistent to what we've been seeing year over year. So we're targeting about 20 lots to be sold. That will make up that $300,000. In addition to that, we are reflected in a projection of $1.1 million in lot sales that are going to be sold at fair market value, and this will be used to fund our operation gap. So earlier in the year, throughout their committees, we did identify some lots that we identified that would be difficult to put in our traditional program and could be leveraged to be sold at fair market value to make up for the funding gap. That list, it consisted of 62 lots, and we'll value it out to $0.9 million at the lower market value. So in order to break even for a year, we need to sell 40% of those lots. We'll start to get the ball rolling. So that's the major takeaway from the entire budget. To meet those goals. In addition to that, note C, we have an increase of $750,000 in our operation agreement. This used to be reflected in our budget previously for potential money that we could get from the city of Houston or to fund our operations. There's no longer an expectation that we will receive those funds, therefore it's not being reflected in our budget.
Where did I see that?
It is on So those are the major items on the revenue side. On the expense side, the one that I did want to highlight is note G. We do have quite a bit of operational fees within the Finding Homes program. This just relates to a variety of different professional services that are tied to different grants that are lumped in within the Finding Homes department. Collectively, we are seeing a net profit within the traditional home buyer program, the new home settlement program, the brownfield redevelopment program, the land banking program. But we are seeing a loss within the finding home program, the property management and maintenance program, and the administrations and operations program. Two last notes, other, very end, second to last. Just added context for that loss that we're seeing in the finding home program. It's just a timing of the revenue and expenditures. So that department consists of a variety of different grants that are being listed there. The majority of a lot of these grants overlap 2 fiscal years. So the majority of the revenue is being recognized in fiscal year 2026 and the expenditures being recognized in 2027. That's why we're seeing a little bit of loss. Collectively, all of those grants do break even. So it's a matter of timing. And lastly, the last note, everything that we're seeing in budget is based on our secured and realistic outputs, meaning contracts that we already have. But I did want to shine a light on some anticipated grants or activities that we could anticipate throughout the year that are just not being reflected in the budget just because it's too soon to really reflect those in the budget. And that would include us receiving 2 pilot grants, one for the Yellow Cab site of $2 million, and another one for air conditioning development construction. That grant is valued at $1.2 million. Additionally, this upcoming year in September, we are applying for an additional EPA assessment grant and a new EPA global loan grant, and the professional service contract that we reviewed for Sunside. Those activities are not being reflected in the budget. And I believe that's the majority of the context.
Thank you, Seth. Before we continue discussion and questions, we need a motion either to approve or not approve item E. And a second.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Director Bradshaw. Is there a second? Thank you, Director Eric. Any comments or questions on the budget or on the motion?
Just want to say thank you, Eastside, though, for sure. Because I know this is a lot of work getting to this point and addressing comments and such and providing those notes. So thank you for all your work you put together.
Great. Thank you to the committees for working through this and identifying any change or around or realities to be dealt with.
And then another note, we have a budget, let's try to stick to it. On the expense side and on the revenue side.
Can I just make one last comment? The page before, I believe it's on page 48, we did restructure our budget to better monitor and account for our indirect costs. Just because we are noticing that a lot of our contracts and grants do have indirect costs. So we started applying this year a new allocation method where our indirect costs, their earning value of $153,000 will be spread out over the different funding sources. So it's just a matter of one presentation and two to really identifying our indirect costs and leveraging all of our various different funding sources. So that's being reflected on that page.
And do those shared indirect costs, those change over time, you think, or just throughout the year?
We try to keep on this.
I was just gonna say, now that we are seeing here the 26 budget, I do remember how much of the budget we had actually. achieve like the balanced budget, but considering the decrease, and that next year, even if we go, you know, if we find more revenue, great, like we adjust it and, vote again on the budget if we need adjustments. But now that we know that that, agreement is terminating and we, have no clarity on the future of it, what do we need to do to get the ability of call first for foreclosed properties again? Like, I feel like that should be a priority for us within the next year, so.
It is better for, yeah, it is complicated. It is, and I keep getting some county strike-offs, right? But then Landmark also thinks they're strike-offs based on the conversation I had with Landmark 2 weeks ago. Yeah, but now I'm learning that the contract was canceled 3 years ago, so nobody seems to know. Everybody just finds somebody else that knows the answer.
So we're
Still
navigating.
running it down on a weekly basis, trying to figure out who owns what and what we're going to do to get into that process to get laid out.
Matt, have you engaged like the county attorney's office or the solicitor?
Previous county attorney's office, I have not engaged the current county.
Whoever was in that meeting. We've had several meetings, several navigations for at least like 2 years now. I personally think it's gonna take a political champion in order to move all of these siloed decisions in these departments to streamline the workflow and say that we want the land bank to administer this. Yeah, I think it's not gonna move coming from us. We need a champion in order to carry this as one of their
There's
signatures.
some
Can we
things in the works.
Yeah, can we get like a short list of people that are, I don't
All
know,
the
like,
pieces of the
close-
puzzle?
Yeah, like these different pieces, so if we are having a conversation with any of them, we can bring it up.
Yeah, there's a small audience.
Okay.
But
And it was also discussed as a part of this housing plan for the city and the county. I personally explained it myself. I don't know if it ends up in the plan. I did a whole 50-page write-up, seriously,
Saw it yesterday.
to put it in there, to document.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gonna make out what, four little items plan. Brownfields.
Like possible actions for.
Oh, you're talking about in the plan?
Yeah.
Well,
Brownfields,
it
tax
is-
sale, title, something.
Yeah, but they were kind of listed as suggestions. I made comments to make them stronger. Yeah,
Okay, any
got the
other
block.
comments or questions on the budget?
On the rent expenses, just, could you all explain what that is? Is that like the losing space?
That's for office.
Is that it?
That's
Okay.
all right, well,
Yeah, that's office.
for now.
Yeah. Working on this right.
Yeah, probably 2027. But
Utilizing that house space
yes.
to substitute this.
Ricky, do you have a question? No, any other comments, questions on the budget? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the fiscal year 2027 budget, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Okay, item F, consideration of possible action to authorize execution of a memorandum of understanding that Greater Annual Family Worship Center for Brownfield Assessment Services and Community Design Support.
So this is the second church that I mentioned a little bit earlier in our meeting. This is also in Cashmere Gardens. This will also have the design and technical support in terms of a market study. It's that they own one big site. We may be in consideration for a land banking agreement with them in the future. We did give them a proposal and we're waiting on the leadership to make a decision on that. They did request just to formalize our design services and site assessment work that we're doing under the EPA and MOU. So this is basically what that is in order to just explain the services that we're providing to them at no cost that's being funded by our grant.
Thank you. Is there a motion? Thank you, Olivia Crum. Second. fiscal year 2026 Economic Development Initiative, Community Project Funding Grant from the U.S. Department of Housing and Development, for the Yellow Cap site redevelopment, mixed income housing, and community growth revitalization.
So this is our first congressional earmark. Yay! Okay. We were gracious to receive the support from Congresswoman Garcia's office for $2 million to help with the Yellow Cap project. We submitted it mostly for some of the infrastructure gap. Just, for a little more of what's behind the curtain, I'll be working with Bridget, who's our new hire who started today, in order to see how we can use this as an opportunity to more so invest into the site and have a return, almost in a sense like a revolving loan fund. We're gonna be exploring what that looks like. So this is just accepting the funds. We don't have the contract yet. That's probably gonna happen in October. Right now, myself and the staff have been going through the trainings from HUD and the administrators, just to make sure that we're in alignment of all the procedures, all the reporting, and the grant compliance of what that may look like. But this is a win for the site and for the organization, so we can just expand more of our work.
So moved.
Thank you, Director Steele.
Second.
Director Blair. I'm very excited about this. Thank you for making sure that you ran this down.
Yeah. Shout out to the whole team, because it's a interesting process to submit this. Once you help put it together, you gotta go with letters of support. You only have like a week to do it, so it's crazy.
Very good. Thank you. Questions, comments?
Question. So, I know sometimes, so it's $2 million, the final amount. I know there have been projects where we, the precinct, have applied for the maximum $3 million, and they only got like $1 million.
This is the final
This is
amount.
the
We
final
applied
amount.
for $3 million and they
Yeah,
came
so-
back with
so
$2
good.
Mhm.
And just, I guess, I don't know if it's a caution, but, these projects can have a lot of strings attached and can be very difficult, so I just wanted to, I see Janae kind of nodding, agreeing with me. Just be prepared, like, there's a lot of regular, like, stuff to work with, so just be prepared, to jump through a lot of hoops.
Thank you. That was something I was thinking about of, as we further understand what the parameters are, and, of course, we'll internally talk about it more, do we need more capacity with some of the grant monitoring and compliance measures, just to make sure that we can actually get reimbursed, because it is a reimbursement grant, so definitely want to be sure that we're proactive and not
Yeah.
reactive.
You said this was for infrastructure around the LCAP site?
Well, it's for the overall project,
Okay.
but part of what we described was that that was part of the challenge in that project.
Okay, because I know I've been having discussions with the TERS, now that, well, precinct will soon be, in that TERS, that some of the TERS money will be going into infrastructure, which I think is still intended, but I was gonna say this could free up $2 million,
Exactly.
and everyone would be happy, but either way,
Exactly.
this is good news, and so.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of approving item G, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Item H, consideration of possible action to accept fiscal year 2026 Economic Development Initiative, Community Project Funding Grant from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for Houston Land Bank and Housing Acquisition, Development, and Construction.
So this is our second congressional earmark for $1.2 million. This is from former Congressman Green's office. We applied to do some acquisition and development activities for housing in, I guess what's now the new CD18 in Sunnyside. So once again, we're gonna go down the training exercises and also look for other opportunities to leverage this, so we can have more revenue streams as opposed to solely grants.
Is there a motion on the second?
So for what activities,
Wait, we need a motion.
motion.
Director Blair first, Director Blair on the second.
Okay.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
Is this like, I don't want to say flexible, but you can use it for all these activities independent of the site, or?
Yes, so the little bit of training that I'm aware of is it's all about the timeline of when you initiated the activity, and then there's some items that are more soft costs versus hard costs. All of it is eligible, but it's just about the method of how you initiate it and the compliance measures, and I think Davis Bacon is triggered, and all those pieces of the puzzle, depending on what the use or the activity is that you're doing on the grant. But yes, acquisition, construction, all the things can be used for that.
So long as it's in the district, right?
Yes,
There's also no administration cap.
yeah. You can also use it for admin.
I was just worried that once you submit your scope, it's very hard to revise.
Okay, good to know.
Like, it's amended process.
Yeah.
So like to the extent as, I don't know if you can keep your scope as flexible as
Okay.
possible, but it is like, that is gonna be the administrative burden.
Yeah.
That's good feedback. Thank you. Definitely keep that in mind.
Other comments or questions?
Exciting.
Yeah, very good. Hearing none, all those in favor of item H, say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Item poll, item I, the agenda, will not consider that today. Needed. I would like to entertain a motion to consider items J, K, L, and N in order. One item. Motion. Yep. Oh, sorry. We're pulling item N. Thank you.
It may come back in the future, so,
Okay.
but yes.
Sorry.
About, I think we should not put it just in case.
We're not gonna get rid of it.
Oh,
That's in the red record.
oh, yeah, I already said no.
Yeah, he said no new one, so it's okay. Forward.
Hey,
But thank you.
We sent, I signed 4 invoices before I came. Well, we still got time, but I did my part.
Yeah, I was like.
I'm advised by staff, by Jason, we're pull item M, the agenda, it's not ready yet, so I'd like to take items J, K, and L as one item. Is there a motion to do that? Director Castillo, is there a second? Director Cole, any comments or questions on the motion of just taking these two items as one? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve? Say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion to approve these three items together, is approved. Is there a motion to approve these three items together? No. Second, Director Cole, second by Director Liddell, Morales. Okay, so the item, there is a motion and a second to approve all three of these items on the table. Are there any comments or questions on these items? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the sale of items J, K, and L, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. I get to read the items for the record. So we just approved in all three sales on item J, consideration of possible action to approve the use of land bank to dispose of 7900 Virgil. HCAT number is 016257010037 for an open market sale. We also approved item K, consideration of possible action to approve the use of land bank to dispose of item 5418 Eastland Street, HCAT number 0381780000024 for open market sale. And item L, consideration of possible action to approve the use of land bank to dispose of items the lot at 6805 Apollo, HCAT number 016-273-001-0038 for open market sale. Those items were approved by the board.
I know I'm not a board member, but can I make a comment?
Please.
I just wanted to thank you all for your service, thanks for coming. But also wanted to acknowledge and thank Gracie Sines for serving as our chair for our inaugural luncheon in March of 2027, and Mr. Collins for serving as vice chair. We're definitely gonna need your help, and you're gonna be okay. You look We're working together on making the sponsorship packet, the save the dates. Definitely would love to have you as host committee members so you can get a table. It's going to be at the Junior League on March 23rd of 2027 from 11 to 1 p.m. And definitely just will continue to keep you engaged as we build some of the collateral materials, but just wanted to publicly thank them for your help and your service and guidance. through this process. It's gonna be at the junior league stuff.
Let me put it on our calendar.
Okay.
Do you wanna announce
Right now. Once
who?
they know that, just put it on.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I forgot about that. We would love to have our honoree as former Mayor Lee Brown, who created the LAURA program back in 1999. Lord willing, he is available and willing to come. So that is a little bit of the gist of what we're doing.
All right. Thank you for those comments. Item 7 is executive session, which we just need. Item 8 is additional board member comments. Board member comments. Hearing none, is there a motion to, item 9, is there a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Director Cole, is there a second? Second. Director Bradshaw, any comments or